Good morning and welcome. Welcome to this place where, challenged by our liberating faith, we discover deeper spiritual meaning, nurture loving community, cultivate courageous connections, and partner in the work of justice. Emphasis on the word partner, because we do not do it alone. We are not the sole source of wisdom or change. We don't have all the answers, but we are embedded in a rich network of wisdom, woven in a vibrant tapestry of change. And whatever answers there are, we will not find it in only one place, but among the many. So welcome. Welcome to this place and this time made holy and sacred by each one of us. I'm Reverend Amanda, the minister of this here congregation, and what a joy it is to gather together once again. If you're new or feeling new or just want to get connected, I encourage you to reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. Her email's on the screen. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing assistance devices, an elevator available right across the way. There's also a hearing loop downstairs in our alternate worship space. Please take care of yourself during our time together. I have just one announcement for you this morning from the Memorial Endowment Trust. Throughout February, you can make a donation to the MET in honor or memory of a loved one, be it a friend, a family member, or anyone who's made an impact in your life, and that donation will be matched up to $10,000. This is a wonderful opportunity to express your care and love and also contribute in a meaningful and lasting way. You can find more information on how to donate and get that matched in Currents, where you'll also find a link to start your gift. They'll also let your honoree know that you're thinking about them. Remember to check Currents each week for opportunities to connect and to get involved. Yesterday, we held day one of the UU Climate Justice Revival, and what a joy that was. Consider this day two. Day one was spent engaging our minds, learning about community solutions and care, and today we extend that to nourishing our own hearts and our minds and our spirits, and oh my goodness, do we need that right now. I don't need to tell you how many times a day I deeply sigh in frustration, in disbelief, in lament, and if your days are filled with similar deep sighs, you've come to the right place. Here in this place, we bring our full selves, not needing to leave our burdens at the door, but making space for it all. Here, we practice what it means to be human in this world. Here, we silence our cell phones. This is the day that love has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
Good morning. My name is Amy Brooks Paradise. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a minister in the community and a UU minister, and I'm delighted to be here with you this morning. We heard the call of the drums. Let us call now the water by metaphorically walking down to the river to take a drink. Let us call to the fields and bring them into this space, noticing the gifts of green and the tight buds about to unfurl their glory. Let us sit here for a moment silently and breathe together, knowing that our neighbors in these pews and the neighbors outside, the trees, the grass, and all living things share with us one sacred breath. And let us celebrate the sun, the fire that warms us and sustains us. Come, friends, let us join in this day of revival for our earth and our own good spirits, called in love to give thanks for the great gift of life in which we move in the beautiful dance of balance and harmony.
My name is Rebecca Ransom, and my pronouns are she, her. Our chalice lighting words today are by Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays, and ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. We now invite you to turn and greet your neighbors.
Hundreds of UU congregations across the United States participated in this revival, and it truly is a co-creative act of faith-based organizing and action. But this begins in the heart. In just a few moments, we'll watch a reflection from Reverend Arif Mamdani. Reverend Arif is the Associate Minister at the First Universalist Church of Minneapolis and a dear colleague. We receive his words this morning with gratitude.
Love is at the center. Every justice necessitates climate justice, and climate justice necessitates every justice. These are new stories that we're telling. These are new stories that we're telling. We are learning to tell ourselves a new story about our wholeness. We are learning to imagine ourselves into a different relationship with the earth. We are learning to imagine ourselves into a different relationship with the earth and how we live with that. We need these stories urgently because we need a complete transformation of how we live on this planet, how we understand ourselves in relationship to our earth and what we are called to be and to do as a result. In other words, we need to imagine our way into different stories, and then we need to live them. This is exactly the move that theologian Sally McFaig makes when she argues that the earth is the body of God. McFaig was writing in the 1980s. Some of us were alive then. Some of us weren't, and if you weren't alive then, I'm going to try, and probably fail, to describe just a little bit of what it was like. By the mid-'80s, Earth Day was a known quantity in much of liberal America. Tensions over the oil crisis had everyone thinking about ways to be more energy efficient and more energy independent. Environmentalists saw a glimmer of hope, and they and we also saw many gathering clouds of war and global destruction in the form of a nuclear weapons race. At 48 years old, I think I was one of the last to have regular nuclear war drills in school. And even that was elementary school. They were an artifact of the past by my middle school years. But the specter of nuclear annihilation was very real. It was very present, and the sense of living within a period of existential threat was palpable. Not to put too fine a point on it, but McFaig was writing into the teeth of apocalypse. She was doing theology on the cusp of existential annihilation. In other words, not too different from the theology that we are doing today with the presence of the earth and its suffering in our hearts and in our minds. Her method, which she called metaphorical theology, asked us to move into a place of imagination with her question, how would we think or act differently if this were true? She knew that she was working against entrenched notions of God just as we are today. And instead of arguing and trying to knock an idol off its base, she said, keep your idol, keep those ideas. Just ask this question with me. How would you think or act differently if this were true? And then she said, what if the earth was the body of God? I get shivers when I ask that question. And if you're struggling with this, let me remind you of two things. First, that some theologians have defined God as that which is greater than us, that which we are wholly reliant upon, and that which we cannot live without. Which is to say that nature, which is to say that our earth, does a very good job of fitting that definition and criteria. Second, many have said that if I look at my checkbook, I will know what I believe in. If I look at my credit card statement, it will tell me what I believe in. If we were to look at our checkbooks, if we were to look at our credit card statements, what would they say we believe in? If we are going to have a God today, if we are going to put any logic up above us and follow its call, if we are going to open our hearts in surrender to anything, and particularly knowing that what we believe shapes what we act and how we act shapes what we believe, thinking and acting as if the earth was the body of God would be an awfully good model to live within and to live with. Hang out in that space of imagination with me for a few moments, will you? Can we imagine how different things would be if we behaved and acted as if we believed that the earth that we walk on, the earth that provides everything that we have, is the body of our Creator? The funny thing, of course, is that we need not imagine at all. It is literally true that we are wholly reliant upon the earth, that the forces of nature are far greater than we can ever be and beyond our understanding and imagination, and that we literally cannot live without it. Western intellect has made the fundamental category error of believing that we are separate from that which we are inseparably a part. The earth is God, and we are intimately part of God's body. What would we do? What would we not do? How would we move through a world where everything is holy, where everything is sacred, where everything is a story of gratitude and interdependence? How would we live if we understood that we come here not to make this the site of our efforts, but rather a place to fill our spirits, a place for collective care, a place for healing? One that kindles and replenishes our imagination, one that helps us to recenter in an imagination of what we could be, so that we can go out and live it, and in the process of living it, make the world as it could be.
I was just joking with Reverend Amanda. Thank you for letting me follow that amazing sermon. Here we go. He talked about stories, so I'm going to start a little bit with my own story. In the backyard of my childhood home was a lone tree surrounded by a cement patio. As a child, it delighted me, standing there so oddly out of place, but claiming its space nonetheless. Sometimes I would climb into its branches just to engage that old tree in a conversation. It felt like it was a bit lonely. It needed a friend. Or maybe it was me that needed a friend, and the tree in its wisdom knew just how to offer me some company. In its leafy branches, looking up at the sky and down at the ground, I felt held. I felt at home. I felt loved. I wasn't sophisticated enough to say the earth is the body of God, but hearing it here this morning, it makes perfect sense to me. I don't know when my sense that the earth is a sacred place began. I think it's always been a part of me. And if I'm honest, I believe everyone is born with this knowledge deep inside us. But whether we retain that knowledge and how we act it out varies widely. Certainly, normative U.S. culture does not center the earth as a sacred place in our worldview or our practice. Instead, we are swimming in a culture that treats the earth as a commodity to be used and discarded. So the work we are called to do is not just to imagine something new, but perhaps also to return to something that is buried deep within us. To help me with this reimagining, I have found the worldview and the teachings of indigenous people of this land to be very helpful. Writers and thinkers like Robin Wall Kimmerer, Randy Woodley, and dozens, perhaps hundreds, of other indigenous people who have listened and learned from their ancestors to remember and reclaim their ancient lineage of relationship with the earth. In his book, Becoming Rooted, Randy Woodley writes about what it means to be indigenous. He writes, "Indigenous people are those who originate naturally from a certain land." And then he does something that was so healing and loving. He acknowledges that all of us, even those who come from colonial settlers, were once indigenous to some place. We are all indigenous. To be indigenous is to be rooted in a particular place. Indigenous people understand how to live with the land. They have worked out their relationships with the plants and the animals, the weather and the mountains. Those relationships grew and matured over time, Woodley says, until there were balance and harmony between the people and the rest of the community of creation. He goes on to say, perhaps all of us cannot claim to be indigenous with a capital I, but he invites us instead to become indigenous with a little I. We can do this in lots of ways, but for me, beginning to think about the indigenous values of relationship and gratitude and reciprocity. These values are not things, they are not an it, they are not a noun, they are actions. Gratitude means expressing thanks. Reciprocity means practicing not just taking from the earth, which we are very good at, but also giving back to it. Yesterday afternoon, thanks to some wonderful people in this congregation, a good number of us, along with a few friends from a couple of other congregations, participated in the first day of our climate revival. Together, we embarked on a process of reimagining the world with love as the center. Now, as a colleague of mine is fond of saying, it's hard to love someone you don't know. I knew the land I grew up in as a child. I knew those trees and that grass, that earth was dear to me. I loved them. I had a relationship with them. They listened to my thoughts. They absorbed my tears. They held me close. Now, I don't know what my little self gave back. Maybe my presence and my love was enough. When we truly love something, we protect it, we care for it, we nurture it, we celebrate it, we engage it, we are in relationship. As a person who has been nurtured by the earth of my childhood and benefiting every day from its gifts, now I am called by my deep love for this earth to return this great gift. It is what brought me to my work at Green Faith, where every day we partner with people around the world to realize our vision statement, which reads in part, "The good life is one of connectedness with each other and all of nature. It is a world of flourishing life that replaces despair with joy, scarcity with shared abundance, and privilege with justly distributed power." I love that line, especially the joy. So the question for each of us here this morning and in the days ahead is to ask ourselves now, how are we called? And in the spirit of this climate revival, this UU cross congregational revival, how are we called collectively to imagine the world? Perhaps we will take something out of the indigenous worldview of reciprocity, or maybe we will begin to imagine the earth as the body of God. What these hold in common, again, is that understanding that we are in relationship with the earth and with each other. And when we hold the earth as sacred, there can be no part that is left out. Because we know in our bones the earth is an interdependent web. That's what we say, right? Rocks, trees, people, everything. And that is why now, when we are seeking healing and justice for our earth that has been so badly mistreated by extraction and pollution, we are also seeking healing and justice for all the many different people on this earth. The interdependent web with love at the center makes it possible and impossible to say anything else. That climate justice is racial justice, is LGBTQ plus justice, is earth care, is healthcare justice, is water justice, is tree justice, is B with 2 E's justice. And we need to be that justice, right? The list goes on and on. In closing, I'm reminded of an African story about a body that was walking along looking for food. In fact, it was the story I used for my sermon in front of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee when I first became a minister. The story goes something like this. The feet were walking along, and the eyes were looking, and the ears were listening, and the stomach was growling. The body is looking for food. And as the body walked along, different parts of the body started arguing about which part was the most important. The eyes were like, "No, I can see the food. What good will it be if you can't see it?" And the feet are like, "Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you can't get there, it's not going to do you any good what you see." And the stomach is like, "I'm going to forget all of this. If you don't put it into me, I'm not going to help you out at all." You know what happened? The body got so tired it had to sit down because it was too weak to go on. When we leave out any part, we too become weak. It's only when we recognize how connected and we are and engage with each other that we become strong and whole. So it is time now for us to reimagine and perhaps also remember that it is going to take all of us, people, creatures, elements, each doing our own part, each bringing our great heart, and taking only what we need, and giving back with generosity and love to create the world in which we all can thrive. We know how to do this, and I know we can do it. Together we will do it. Let us begin with joy, abundance, and justice. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be.
one of our shared UU values is honoring the independent web of all existence, interdependent web of all existence. As we reflect on our place in this web, may we embrace something greater than ourselves, and may we be open and willing to give generously to this, our life-affirming community. We are grateful to our members who pledge their ongoing financial support to sustain the work of our congregation. The ushers may now come forward to receive the offering.
Fear stifles imagination and limits our capacity for relationships that embrace our beautiful and abundant humanity. Fear creates cynical cycles of supremacy and extractive relationships with each other and our planet. Reimagining together is how we overcome fear. Reimagining together is how we build new relationships and a new era, putting love at the center. Today, especially, we put love at the center of our work for climate justice. Please join us in the prayers of the people and the planet. Your congregational response will be on the screen, and it is "Let us reimagine a new era together," and will indicate when it is time to share that response in the space.
Beginning right here in our congregation, we pray for ourselves, that we open our hearts to be companions, caring for a hurting world, and committing to create a world of flourishing.
Let us reimagine a new era together. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We commit to protect the earth and all beings from exploitation. So we pray for land, ecosystems, all species, and the entire natural world. Let us reimagine a new era together.
We pray for justice for local frontline communities who are impacted first, worst, and longest by climate change and who face systemic oppression.
Let us reimagine a new era together.
In our reimagining, we gain the capacity to recommit to communities of mutual support, which are the building blocks of an ecosystem of mutual survival.
Let us reimagine a new era together. We look towards each other, people of faith, good conscience, and spirit, leaning on one another and trusting in the hope that we can create together. Let us reimagine a new era together.
We make right the wrongs of the past, not by ignoring them, but by doing the difficult work of dismantling the oppressive systems and behaviors that feed our illusion of separation. May we live in a way that honors our interdependence and acts in accordance with our interconnection with all people and the planet.
Let us reimagine a new era together.
As we begin in local, committed communities of support, we find the strength and courage to widen our circles of concern, resisting hierarchies of value and ideologies of scarcity.
Let us reimagine a new era together. In our widening and deepening connections, we discover relations in the salt-kissed islands of the Kiribati, the solid frozen ground of Newtok, Alaska, and in the life-giving valley of the Rio Guapinal. Let us reimagine a new era together.
With humility and commitment, we acknowledge our own part in so much harm to our relations: saltwater encroachment, dying permafrost, and the poisoned refuse of illegal mining.
Let us reimagine a new era together.
May we set down fear. May our courage to face the intersecting systems of harm lead to the strength to create intersecting practices of love and healing so that all may flourish.
Let us reimagine a new era together. Reimagining together, we build new relationships. We put love at the center of climate justice work, and we commit. Amen. Let us reimagine a new era together.
Rituals facilitate connection and a sense of community, and they help us promote the values that we share. This upcoming ritual for action is intended to help us embody what we've been talking, thinking, and singing about all weekend. Your hands will be blessed for the work of climate justice. If you're ready to take action in whatever way that looks like in your life, you're invited to come forward right over here for a hand blessing. I'm going to also be over here in this aisle, and we will make this work somehow. I don't know how. But feel free to come forward and receive a hand blessing. If you don't want to be physically touched, we'll make sure just to send the energy your way. You're invited to come forward as the music plays. We bring so much with us when we gather each week. Our joys and our sorrows, our concerns, they all have a home here. They all belong. I'm filled with joy and gratitude for the ways in which this congregation showed up yesterday, centering curiosity, leaning into community, leading from a place of gratitude and appreciation. These are the ways that we will not only survive, but that we will thrive. Now, a word of lament. A word of lament for the thousands of federal workers who've lost their jobs, who are in fear of losing their jobs, for those who are watching their lives' work be dismantled and disregarded, for those at risk of losing benefits and resources and sustenance. A lament for all of us, really. So many just trying to get by, caught in the crosshairs of unchecked and unbridled power. A lament for our representatives and their lack of action. A lament for democracy. May we breathe courage into our lives. May we continue showing up and speaking out, remembering the words of Dylan Thomas to not go gentle into that night. Let's stay the course, because we must, for ourselves, for each other, and for the children of our children. Please join me in a moment of silence for all the joys and concerns on our hearts this morning. I invite you into a time of stillness, groundedness, perhaps centering yourself where you are, rooting yourself in this moment, lowering your gaze or even closing your eyes and trusting this space, trusting each other. Please join me in prayer. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, here we are yet again. Here we gather once more as a people of free faith, a people able to gather, a people choosing to come together around a central purpose, around a common goal. A people perhaps weary, perhaps becoming disconnected, disenfranchised, disheartened, disillusioned, disappointed. I reflect back on the optimism we once had. The optimism shared by so many of what this period in time, what this could have been. And I hold that, and I release it. Spirit of life, infuse our minds and our bodies and our souls with the ability to face what things are right now as they are, but to not shrink back, to face it full on, to continue the course. Our hearts are lifted up to those who are struggling with loss of all kinds, loss of livelihood, loss of benefits, loss of stability, those who are struggling with loss of purpose, loss of faith, loss of loved ones. We've all lost something. Our hearts are lifted up to those who are struggling with disconnection, perhaps not connected to a community. May they find their way to spaces where they belong, and may we continue to be a place where people can belong. We lift up our hearts to those who are fighting for freedoms, who have been fighting for decades, for centuries, those who have taught us the way, who have shown us the path. May we learn and grow deeper into what it means to care for our earth, to care for each other. May we be one another's keeper. May we look out for each other. May we come together until we gather again once more. May it always be so. Ashe. Blessed be. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, The Fire of Commitment. Our benediction this morning is in the form of gratitude. It takes so much to make Sunday service happen. Thank you to our amazing musicians on the handbells, on the guitar, on the drums. And of course, our fearless jack of all trades and master of all, John. Doing it all this morning. So much gratitude to the Justice Ministry team and Green Faith for helping all of us together put on the Climate Justice Revival yesterday. It was an amazing time of connection. A lot of work went into it, and a lot of work will follow it up. And so much gratitude to the Unitarian Universalist Association for putting together the Climate Justice Revival. They really handed us so much treasure. It was such a gift. So much gratitude to what it means for us all to come together. Won't you join me in extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.